So, welcome, Dr. Saxena, on this very interesting topic that we've been touching upon for the last few months. Dr. Praveen Kumar Saxena, I'd just like to introduce you. I know him for the last couple of years now, and he is one of the most enthusiastic, full of zeal and passion doctors that I have met in my life. To the extent that my first experience of him was, I can never forget that. First of all, he has a beautiful voice, and I will ask him to sing a few lines at the end of the interview. But the second thing was that I remember about him is that he was on stage talking about a topic, and everybody was dying to hear more of him. And he was literally being pulled off the stage by the organizer and saying, Dr. Praveen, please stop. There's enough knowledge. We've got the next speaker on. And he was not willing to go, and the audience was not willing to let him go. So then the audience shut off the organizer and said, please let him speak because he is giving such valuable words of wisdom. Everybody wants to hear it. Let the next speaker wait. And that was such a funny moment. I can never forget that in my life. He's such a great resource of information that even his CV, if I start reading, it will take half an hour just in that only. He's done so much. And we are blessed to have him with us today.
I can always introduce myself, Sanjay. I'm a basically medical graduate from Usmania. In my MBBS. Post that, I went for my radiology specialization. After that, I worked on something called clinical medical toxicology, and it was basically so. I can always tell you what a radiologist is doing this environmental medicine. There's a big story and all that. We will try to stick to this immune system, immunity as such, and come on, yeah, we'll this is I'm a academic person basically. I'm trying to work it out, and I believe in one particular thing, Sanjay ji, is particular Hindi jugaad. There is a thing called jugaad in Hindi, which means every one of you know as such. This is by hook or crook something you need to produce the results. I am always fan of engineers who used to give jugads. Actually, all my other friends and all that. In medicine, I didn't find any jugadu doctor, but Indian doctors are definitely jugadu. In the sense they try to do a lot of things as such. I realized I don't have to do vitamin D testing for everyone. I just do some simple clinical test, and I know this is vitamin deficient. So these are the things which propelled me, Sanjay. I started working on something called non-surgical solutions. I'm basically not a qualified surgeon. I did my MBBS, but surgery was not my cup of thing. Then I realized that we need to do something more of a non-surgical solution. So I started working on blah blah blah, and I entered a field called autism, and it was by default I entered into that. But I think this autism particular as such has taught me so much. Then I started to I went into some other fields where I believe that the common denominator of that particular disease pattern, chronic disease pattern, I felt this is something to do with the oxidative stress. If we are able to work it out on this oxidative stress, we are absolutely halfway through, and we don't have to push in a lot of pharmacy and surgery. I somehow believe, it's my personal take, I believe pharmacy, medical drugs, and surgery, surgical things are help the patient, but not completely eradicate the problem. So I felt there is a room for trying to work it out at a holistic level. That's the reason I started working on other parts. I just took some best things from the Ayurveda, just took best things from the homeopathy, and there is a thing called energy medicine, and I have been trained into something like integrative and functional medicine, and where we believe that it is absolutely the bioregulation as such. I don't have to do I'll give you a simple example, where I was trying to work with a hypertensive patient for a last 10 years, and he has got that constant thing as such. What I learned from my some of my mentors in US, I had to just meddle with his car, which was causing the interference. And the moment the interfering scar, your body has got multiple scars of post surgery, so many things as such. You can have a BCG scar here also. Just by neutralizing that interference scar, I'll tell you, this guy is no more on any kind of medicines now.
My God.
So it was a big kind of I tried looking at what exactly is this muscle testing, so many things, energy medicine. We keep. I happen to. I'm a quite mean guy. I try to take the best of both the worlds. I don't. I will definitely advise somebody to radiation therapy, somebody for surgery if the need arises. And post following that, I'll try to work it out on the thing as such. Uh, that's my brief. Yeah.
You have actually truly blended all forms of medicine into what works. But the essence of your practice I've seen is balancing physiology and biochemistry at a cellular level. And that has been by removing toxicity and correcting the oxygen levels, like you just explained so nicely. So I'd just like to draw your attention to an area which is now currently suddenly become the talk of the town, and everybody's talking about it. A balanced immune system to fight off infectious diseases. And infectious disease was something that typically most of us functional medicine practitioners were not treating. We were really treating lifestyle chronic diseases. But now our attention has been drawn into this new area. Not new area, but it's a often forgotten area. And in your opinion, integrative medicine, which is the field of your specialization, plays a major role in a whole person approach. What is your key takeaways for rebalancing our immunity?
I think that's an amazing question to answer as such. And Sanjay ji, this is something which I have been working for almost all chronic disorders, chronic diseases. The first key is, see, I started my work with my autism and all that. If I work with the gut, this is called the GI tract, intestinal tract. It's the size of a big kind of thing. And if I'm trying to optimize the bowel health, it's a big word. I can talk about for another 2 hours for that. I
Yeah.
don't want to get into that. If this bowel health is one thing which I believe more than 70 to 80% immunity starts from there. If you keep your balance of good bacteria, trying to work with the good probiotics, prebiotics, try to see that you don't take unnecessary antibiotics, so many things can work it out. This is, I'll tell you one or the other. The other things what I try to feel that which can help in balancing the immunity is reducing the oxidative stress. Reducing the oxidative stress is a big word. I will give you a simple examples how we can try to reduce our oxidative stress. A simple thing is going to the kitchen and start looking at what is the vegetable, what is the oil you are using for your food. Oil, what everyone has been, as doctors, we have been always told, or we have told everyone to go for refined oils. We told a low cholesterol. But this particular thing, low cholesterol has permeated like anything. Any even I see any small time effort, very down to downtrodden people also, they are not now interested in taking that ghee or something like that. The in the process, what is happening is we are inundated with a refined oils, vegetable oil, a refined vegetable oil which has got sunflower, which has got cottonseed, you name anything. I don't want to get into any kind of the this one industry, but what I believe is that if we have this refined sunflower oil, we are going to have high levels of omega-6 in our body. And the more the omega-6 in our body, it is like adding ammunition, adding petrol, adding diesel. These are the things which I don't want to keep near my kitchen as such. If I have got something like, see, what is happening is your body has got high levels of arachidonic oil, omega 6 oils, and all that, which are all very inflammable. With a simple kind of infection, you will see a kind of cytokine storm as such. So the thing is, vegetable oil, what you cook in your thing as such, it has to be properly. I have always told, in the sense, my patients work on something like coconut oil, edible coconut oil, and I think Sanjay, you know more than me about oils and all that. And I don't have to stress much, but I can always tell you the people who doesn't know about this particular thing, refined oil, look for a label called cold press oil. It will do a good thing as such. Even if I was given a choice among cold press oil also, I'll not pick up sunflower oil. I'll not pick up safflower. I'll not pick up the soybean oil. I'll be very keen if I can get something like rice bran oil, or if I get something like a olive oil, which is of course which you need to kind of thing. And our Indian community, we are very very happy to have something called ghee. Ghee is this is for refined thing as such. It's something so, and it doesn't contain casein and all that. This is regarding the vegetable oil. I'll come back to the second most important thing which we mostly use is the milk. For some reasons, I have now I believe that milk is not good for anyone as such. Milk is one thing, particularly when you come to when you are talking about this present scenario where you have got respiratory illness and you starts with the pneumonia types and all that. If a person switches off from milk, his lung secretions will start decreasing. The milk increases secretions in your sinuses, it increases secretions in your lungs and all that. And if someone is taking milk when he's in a hospital, it's a big disservice. I think this is one thing which I want to make it very very clear. Don't take milk. The second one, first one is vegetable oil. Take care of that. Second is the milk. The third one is the sugar. We have all of us have got sweet tooth. This is not a Deepavali days and all that. I always tell this is a lockdown period. We are still trying to as battling things and all that. Don't add that extra sugar in your tea, whatever things and all that. From this simple things, I don't want to get into. There are beautiful supplements which are being available now. I know Sanjay what I still take something like Dabur Chyawanprash because I have from the childhood we have been tuned into that particular stuff. There's see, we keep taking onions, we keep taking a lot of garlic and all that. Everything counts. The kind of my grandmother, which she used to take that pan, betel nut and pan. I believe that is one thing. It's part of Giloy and all that. Coming to the second part, which we need to supplement is, which I think most of us as doctors we forgot totally. That was supplementing omega-3, which is can be something like sea cod liver oil. I can tell you, Sanjay ji, it is something which I believe all these 3 4 months. My phone call was always active with my patients and all that. I can always tell you none of them got into any problem, and most of them are having stage 4 cancers. Well, some are autistic, some has got rheumatoid arthritis, some have got psoriasis and all that. And we thought all of these people will do bad. And thanks to the simple supplement called sea cod liver oil is my first prescription for everyone. The first thing which I write is sea cod liver oil. If someone can afford something, he get from Nordic Naturals or some other thing. But the best possible thing is that small thing, capsules, and all of them are on that particular stuff. I can always tell you, my autistic patients, they used to get every 3 months, every 2 months, they used to get from cold and running nose and all that. And suppose this particular intervention, which I called this as a simple thing, giving some sea cod liver oil, and they don't get any recurrent colds, they don't get ear infections, they are not getting into any kind of sore throat. So for me, this particular compound, this which is particularly cod liver oil, is very very. The third thing which is most important, which I would like to highlight and I'd like to show some things, is the use of Wi-Fi. All of us, we have been on this Zoom also. I am using a wired line. I'm not using a wireless connection. I need to show some basic things as such. Sanjay, just allow me for a second, a few things. This is my modem, and this doesn't. I have made it redundant. This is the ACT5 modem, and this is the way it works. Is I need to keep my this particular thing here. Okay, this is the kind of uh, this particular thing is called Ethernet cable, and this is wired connection. I'm using right now a wired connection to my Mac as such. So what makes me more kind of thing, the more I was talking to people how to switch from wireless to wired connection, very the computer science graduates. My family has got some I keep getting phone calls from Mumbai. One of my chartered accountant relative, young graduate, he is very amazing guy. He said, Jiaji, how can we help, what to do, why this is so much in Mumbai, Hyderabad, other places. I said, you can always work it out by switching off your wire. It is a general precaution
Hmm.
to switch off from wireless and use a then he says, my work is totally entirely on my internet. I cannot switch off my this particular thing. I have to demonstrate this. Baba, array, you use this particular thing, and you can use and not having a computer, but you have got a LAN option there. You just plug in there. Only thing is your phones are not going to work, your computer, your laptop is going to work, your phones are not going to work. And for the phones, I have 5 phones in the family, and we club billing from Airtel. What I do is I use that SIM card, and
Hmm.
with SIM card, all your WhatsApp things and all that are working. Why I'm trying to stress is that particular thing is Wi-Fi, wireless connections, and it is good to have it for some time. You cannot have it 24 by 7. To my surprise, most of my patients, most of the people whom I know, and they are all intellectuals and all that, they are not aware of this fact that wireless causes problem. So I have a simple message for them. He reduce yourself. See, it took me a long time to my son who was going for the colleges and all that, going for taking the online classes for having, I was not able to convince this guy. Now he says, after some time, he says Wi-Fi was open for some time. There was a problem as such. Then he said my head was something. He's not happy with the kind of radiation. So I use my Netflix. I use my Amazon Prime because through my I route this one LAN cable into the computer. From there, from HDMI cable, connect to the TV.
Hmm.
It's so simple. The other day, my nephew told me I saw that Gunjan Saxena, and then I said, "Arey, that's a good movie," and all that. We were discussing about that. Then I asked him, I just quizzed him as such, "How did you had a wireless or Wi-Fi?" So he was telling, obviously it's Wi-Fi only. So people have to be educated on this particular
Yes,
thing,
yes, very
and
well.
I'll come back to immunity, the other thing also. I'll tell you. I'll relate this one with a simple thing as such. I was traveling once in Rishikesh and Haridwar. It was some 20 years back. I was not aware of the culture that we throw a coin into the Gangaji every time you cross that particular thing. I was, as a doctor, I was inquisitive. What is happening? Why these people are throwing these coins and all that? Then my grandmother, she told me, no, no, this is used to be a silver coin. The silver coin used to be thrown into the flowing water, Ganges, and that silver coin, now I understand what is this silver nanoparticles are doing as. So amazing thing. What a concept they had, the previous people they had, throwing a coin into the water, and that water can, see, everyone can have that. So these are all the things which have been really forgotten. I know you are going to ask me as a metal toxicologist what is by this one. I believe this particular stuff. There are good metals, there are bad metals. So when I'm talking about silver, silver is amazing thing. I can always put a silver solution and nebulize it, and I can see that things will be totally averted. A kind of any ongoing somebody having ongoing problem with the COVID also, with that particular thing will be averted. The thing is, the other thing which comes to my mind is a simple magnesium, good selenium, good zinc. We are all talking about zinc. We are talking about vitamin D, everything as such. Um, what makes me kind of, as a thinking person, what I felt was it was not enough to just supplement, keep on supplementing all these things and all that forever. Vitamin D. See, Sanjay ji, I give a glass of water. This is a glass of water, and there is a leak from here. This water gets depleted every time. I'll be interested in fixing this leak rather than pouring in water. So I think, but to be a thing as such, I start with 60,000 units of vitamin D3 to everyone and slowly try to taper it off.
Hmm.
So my key other one, which I always am trying to make a kind of thing, is avoiding this white light at night. Avoiding this white light usually whatever we used to have it like from CFL, from whatever is it, this white light has a blue spectrum. This blue spectrum light, if I am able to, if uh, I'm sitting on that particular thing as a light, so my production of sleep hormone, which is called melatonin, which has got an amazing key role. Uh, I somehow believe that my parents and other people taught us very good stuff. They told us to go to bed at 10 o'clock and get up early in the morning. And here, I think this is the kind of thing. Now, I'm trying to convince my second generation, the people, the kids and all that, are don't not to see that Netflix, Baba, 10 baje ke baad band kar do. They are still, they see what happens. We tomorrow is Sunday, कैसा भी देर से उठेंगे, कोई problem नहीं है. So I think we also get into a particular thing, and this is a tough concept to explain it to the doctors. I have been talking to our group people as such, all the doctors. I mean, don't do WhatsApp at the night. See the kind of the cell phone which has got the bright light that has got the photons, which is like, if you see, I have seen a lot of geriatric patients, and now nobody has carries this clock. Everyone goes in the middle of night, they go to the loo and they just check, "Arey, what is the time, Baba?"
Hmm.
And this particular photonic stimulation to your eyes, your the thing network what we are having is arousal, wake, fullness, sleep thing as such. It's a very intricate system as such. The moment it sees the light, it
Hmm.
stops secreting the melatonin.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a very important area.
I feel there are everyone is using the cell phone as
Yeah.
a clock,
Alarm
and they
clock.
just use
Yeah.
alarm clock, and people forget to switch off the
Yes.
put that on airplane mode. That is also one of the big thing.
But
Uh,
talking of clinical metal toxicology, you're one of the rare few metal toxicologists in the country, and you've done a tremendous amount of work on metal toxicity. We are also testing metal toxicity in our clinic, and we feel that it imposes a huge load on your immunity if you are metal toxic, and which means the dangerous metals, like mercury and lead and arsenic and cadmium, etc. What is the role of the heavy load of metal toxicity on our immunity? That's my other question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was talking about the glass of water with the kind of leak and all that. What I
Yes,
meant
yes.
to say was we have now case controlled studies, as well as you have peer reviewed journals as such. With your vitamin D3 levels, which we have been talking for the onset of the pandemic to improve the vitamin D, and all that. To my surprise, I saw everyone having depletion of vitamin D. See, we have a today is raining in Hyderabad, but normally we have got we are in a tropical zone, and we near the tropical thing as such, and we have abundant of sunlight. Why there is a vitamin D deficiency? At first place, I have a simple kind of this one take on that. I had worked with a lot of lead toxic patients. Most of my patients who are hypertensive, who had a coronary vascular disease, who had autism, who had cancer, almost all of them, they have a high load of lead in their bones. Once we start stirring that, in the sense we start giving a small kind of yeah, chelation or some detox, simple detox. Detox, don't get worried about that word detox. Detox can be a simple water also. We do a skin detox, we do a water detox, we try to work it out on multiple levels. The moment we do start doing the detox, the lead levels in the body starts rising. We can check that in the serum blood test. The blood levels show high levels of lead, and the people who have low levels of we remove that particular stuff. They don't require this thing again and again. What exactly I'm trying to put across is these heavy metals, they are what they are doing is they are doing biological mimicry, it is called as such. I have told you about good minerals called calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium and all that. All this, what exactly this magnesium and selenium and zinc is doing, as they are trying to work as a catalyst in a kind of uh, biochemical reaction. You in the body, there are a lot of biochemical reactions. I don't think we can go in details as such, but from substrate A to substrate B, if you want to work it out, you require something like magnesium and calcium. What happens in this particular thing? If for forming a vitamin D, you require something like calcium and magnesium, right? The vitamin D starts from cholesterol. Cholesterol is the substrate, and from there it goes into all alpha. There are multiple things as such, and this magnesium helps in moving from cholesterol to the vitamin D3. Now, we have told everyone not to take fat, and we have reduced our cholesterol. There is no chance of the cholesterol, which is very limited, cannot work it out. The other thing is this magnesium, this calcium, this particular stuff, in presence of heavy metals like lead, mercury, any name anything, cadmium, which are now in abundance. We have never seen this kind of thing before. The ways the heavy metal toxicity is growing from leaps to bounds is because of the industrialization, because of the way we are trying to use our water. We are going into deep into borewells trying to get water from. There are multiple reasons why these heavy metals are increasing. What these heavy metals are doing is it goes into place of magnesium. Arey Baba, magnesium, you just move out from here. I am going to sit here because I have got a more. It's like dadagiri. Yeah? It's like a kind of dawn. A dawn comes there and asks the normal person to move. So once lead comes and sits over the mercury place, the whole system from cholesterol to vitamin D3, it comes to a screeching halt. Vitamin D3 is not produced. Like that, magnesium is used for 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. 300 enzymatic reactions. And if someone is having a lead toxicity, sometimes this toxicity, lead toxicity and all that is difficult to prove on the first baseline test. And so all that comes to a screeching halt, and there increases the oxidative stress. And if you don't have vitamin D3, your immunity is definitely bound to go down.
Mm.
So almost all things, be it selenium, be it this one, we need to optimize by adding magnesium, adding zinc, adding this particular stuff, and along with that, we need to remove this particular things, heavy metals, um, in a sequential and
Yes.
thing as such. Yeah.
A lot of your work, which I've seen in your clinic when I was visiting, is with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And you are one of the first clinics that I've seen which has more than 6 or 7 hard and soft chambers. And this is suddenly become, even in our clinic, it's become very popular now because of the risk of lung infections. People are coming for that, but although hyperbaric has been used for multiple disorders, what is your advice to people about HBOT in the case of respiratory disorders?
Thing is like, yeah, it's a very I think this is being talked about. There are a lot of work. I have learned HBOD from Dr. Paul Harsh, And it is not basically, this is one thing which I started using HBOD for my autistic patients. And to my surprise, someone came, diabetic gangrene fellow came, and he said, we want to go for this particular thing. And it for any chronic disease, the underlying cause is the hypoxia. Any cancer has got a hypoxia. What I talk about is in cancers, there is a shift of metabolism from aerobic to anaerobic metabolism. It's not very tough to understand. There is a thing called mitochondria, there is a thing called cell membrane, there is a thing called cytoplasm and nucleus. We believe that there is a mitochondria which doesn't work in any chronic diseases. Most of the mitochondrial cytopathies, when we look at diabetes, when we look at autism, when we look at cancer, most of them, their mitochondria, they are not working to the optimum level. I give a relation of the way I try to explain to the patient is very simple. You have a petrol car, and you have got petrol, you have got air that goes into the chamber, and you have a carburetor, right? So what happens is that the petrol, as well as when you have got a kachra and got a dust or something in the carburetor, what happens? Your efficiency of the uh, car as a kind of thing, combustion goes down as such. It consumes more of the petrol and all that. So similarly, any cell has got a mitochondria, which is the carburetor, which is powerhouse. You have got glucose comes in, comes in oxygen, and there is a level of combustion which causes aerobic glycolysis, and everything is fine. It works out fabulously well. Any ninth grader school student also will tell 36 ATPs is from one glucose molecule. But we are seeing in chronic diseases, most of the chronic diseases, what is happening is this is a tectonic shift from aerobic to anaerobic glycolysis.
Mm.
Anaerobic glycolysis is a glycolytic pathway where you don't use oxygen, because there is a, in all chronic diseases, be it cancer, be it some other things and all that. One thing is your mitochondria is at fault, number one. It has got inundated with heavy metals, a lot of plastics. There's so many things as such. With that, there is a this carburetor has got a lot of, you need to detox that. Oxygen, for some reason, because of the impermeability of the cell wall or whatever is that, it's not able to enter into the mitochondria. It is not able to enter, cross that cell wall, cell membrane, get into the cytoplasm and into the mitochondria. And what happens is that in this process, glucose, there is a thing called sodium ATPase and so many things as such, but there is an abundance of glucose which comes. So the thing is, we try to keep it very simple as such. Cut your glucose intake, try to increase your oxygen levels. How do you increase your oxygen levels? This is concept is done by Dr. Warburg, Otto Warburg. This man was nominated for Nobel Prize for umpteen number of times. That time in 1940 is what where he propagated this particular thing. People didn't understood his philosophy, and that time they didn't had anything means to increase the oxygenation into the cell by an hook or crook. So we use this particular thing called hyperbaric oxygen. In hyperbaric oxygen, you increase the pressures. By increasing the pressures in a closed container, the volume of oxygen goes down. In the sense, the oxygen molecule, the volume decreases because of the Dalton's law and all that. So you effectively, your body will have more than 8 to 10 times of oxygen throughout. Your oxygen will flow not only from the blood vessels. See, RBCs carries oxygen. That is a dictum. For that, you need to have a patent blood vessels. Now you have blocked vessels. Now you don't have that RBC which is going down through. So what you are going to do, how best we can bypass this situation is by adding hyperbaric oxygen, where I give, it's not mean that because of the thing as such, you increase the oxygen carrying capacity to the plasma, through the cerebrospinal fluid, through all the interstitial fluids, and the last mile connectivity, the place where oxygen is required, is being catered. Nothing like that. Yeah, I have seen amazing results. I've seen people coming with cerebral vascular palsies, there are people with CVAs, there are people with diabetic gangrenes. If I don't know what to do with this patient, I try to see he doesn't have any problems with the other part, because barotrauma and all that, ear trauma, we need to be careful about that, and immediately we do that. Coming to the present scenario, we believe the Paul Harsh and other people who has done amazing work, Dr. Naresh Trehan, no, Dr. There is a in Apollo Indraprastha, there is one more doctor. He's working on this particular thing, and he's one of the pioneer as such. And these are the people. Now we believe that in case of a COVID kind of thing, where we require ARDS picture, where we require that high flow oxygen. See, normally normal oxygen pressure is very low. This particular modality can definitely save the patient.
Hmm.
Amazing thing. I think it is properly utterly underutilized as such.
Yes, yes. So I see a lot of your patients going through this when they come to your clinic. Almost everybody is going through a hyperbaric treatment.
It is like we have done that kind of things. People go for a far infrared sauna, they go for hypothermia instantly, then they go for oxygen therapy. Mostly, I'm trying to use less of medications and trying to work with the physiology as you, that kind of stuff.
Very nice, sir.
And
You also done a lot of research on the vaccine safety, very controversial subject these days, but especially because you are chairing a very large group of integrative doctors, more than 250, I think, in India. And you have groups of people in that group speaking for vaccination and against vaccination. But since you're the expert in this and you've done studies on the vaccine safety, what is your, I mean, the whole world is waiting for some magic wand to come in and it'll just wipe out COVID from the face of the earth when this vaccine comes. What is your take on this? What is your advice?
Sanjay, coming to a thing called vaccine safety and all that, I have been trying to propagate about something like trying to avoid certain vaccines to be given in combination. I'll start with when we took vaccines. It was a kind of thing which we took very few vaccines and all that. The kind of vaccines now which are being given to the children, the flu shots to the elderly and all that. I have only one thing to say, and not to combine vaccines and give. Six vaccines are combined in on one particular thing and given as a whole. There are not studies which are done which can approve or disprove things as such. But there is a contention. There is a kind of we see there is a see whenever there is a there has to be some fire. Otherwise, we will not get fumes. There are some fumes, and certainly there is a kind of question mark is there. Yes, vaccine. What the vaccine Jenner has produced, smallpox, was amazing stuff. What was done later on is a need to we need to introspect about that. There were a lot of to increase this that when the Jenner and all that they started vaccine initially about that. The vaccine was to be given on the same day. If you could wait for 1 or 2 days also, that potential will go off. Okay, now we have got number of vaccines where there's a mark. The manufacturers also have to look at the shelf life of the vaccine. Shelf life can be from 2 years to 5 years, in spite of maintaining the cold chain and all that. But whatever is it, to increase the shelf life, the industry 60, 70 years back has started using some preservatives, which are real, are causing issues. Preservatives, I can always tell you, I don't want to get into things and all that. If vaccines are preservative free, I'll be the happiest person. This is an amazing science. Vaccine definitely helps in your all adaptive immunity, so many things and all that. We are still in search of a vaccine which doesn't have any preservative. The only thing which we try to work it out is there are some preservatives such as glyphosate in MMR vaccine. There
Yes.
are preservatives of mercury in DPT, mercury in almost all hepatitis B. And the problem with the thing is you are combining hepatitis B, you are combining DPT, you are combining all things together and given in one particular thing. The ideal situation, if the body has to be properly immunized is do one thing at a time and try to see that body also starts developing antibodies in the present. So what is happening with the present day is you are giving at random all things at once. So you have got an immature immune system. This immature immune system doesn't know how to react with that particular thing.
Mhm.
This is the problem. And coming down to COVID, this particular thing, yes, I am also waiting for that vaccine to come, and we are quite hopeful things will be much better. Only thing is I think there are multiple things. There are technical snacks and all that. There are more than 10 variants, and it is really a kind of challenge for our scientists to develop that particular thing. And yes, most likely it should be some vaccine which will be very very friendly as such. And we believe that it should not contain a lot of toxins or heavy metals as preservatives and all that. And that will be a welcome thing. We are purely, when we tried working on this particular facet, we are finding the vaccine studies which were done. Vaccine studies were done for 3 days or 5 days or maximum 1 month. They look at the short-term side effects and all that.
Yes, yes.
When then nobody looked at what happened after 3 years, what happened after 10 years, and all that. So now we have reasons to say injecting this particular thing 3 years down the lane, you get into some autoimmune problems and all that. So still, I can always I don't have anything against that particular stuff, but they are not even still they are not, multiple vaccines are not proved safe. And I somehow believe that this kind of we should not be guinea pigs. Every human thing, every death, there are multiple deaths reported from pentavalent vaccine in India particularly. And somewhere it has been, there is a thing called adverse effects. Adverse is a group actually. We need to report this particular thing to the this adverse effects of vaccines and all that. None of the reporting is done from this part of the country,
Mm.
our country basically. And we have been told ki no, vaccines are the safest thing what we can give. But now things are changing as such. A person having an autoimmune problem, a child who has got premature delivery, a child who has got something, some immune or other issues and all that, he should not be given the vaccine which is normally given to everyone. It has to be tailor-made. This is one size fits for all vaccination. That concept I'm against.
Okay, okay.
That's kind of thing.
You have also worked a lot with just a few minutes more, sir. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry you're taking a little more time.
nothing.
You worked a lot with autistic children, and autism has been one of your core areas of focus. Children who are born with autism, do you think that they have compromised immunity?
Yeah, Sanjay ji, there are two things in autism basically. The child who is autistic normally gets diagnosed by age of 3 and plus and all that, 3 plus. So we don't know whether he was born with autism or he acquired autism. When
Hmm.
we look into the history with the parents and all that, the almost I can say about 95% of parents, they say my child was normal till 1.5 years. Suddenly he lost eye contact. Suddenly he was quite doing well, and suddenly he kind of uh, he disappeared, in the sense he got into a thing called autism. When we started working on the autism, all autistic kids not untreated, they have a host of problems. They used to have ear infections, they used to have severe respiratory infections, sometimes they have a bowel infections like anything. We feel we now with a kind of, we try to work out with Autism Research Institute. There is a thing medmaps and all that. Now we believe that it is not the immune system which is decreased or something like that. This is we call it as a dysregulated immune system. In all autistic kids, they have got a dysregulated immune system, and this immune system dysregulation has to be, is the key point. I'm very sure even in the present COVID situation here also, the problem is with the dysregulation of the immune system. The immune system is good, but it suddenly gets into a hyper mode, and things go into a kind of geometric progression, and things become very worse.
Hmm. So my last question is a very interesting one, which is actually something which we have not been able to measure in a laboratory situation, and we don't have a statistical information on it. But uh, at the moment, we are all living in a state of fear, anxiety, uncertainty, which is leading to states of depression. We've seen a lot of increase in the calls coming to our clinic for depression and anxiety. Patients are the patient calls have gone up by more than 50% just in this one category. And we believe that fear and anxiety are one of the biggest enemies of the immune system, and they will depress your immunity and your ability to fight infections. What is your experience in this in your clinic? Have there been people coming with this?
Um, uh, I actually I don't practice into this particular thing much as such. Most of my patients as such, the known patients who were yesterday I got a patient. I was stuck yesterday for 4 hours. I had a patient to whom I did the ECP and cardiac thing as such, chelation and all that. He was diabetic, and he had this guy for the last 15 days was so scared he started developing cough,
Hmm.
and he was so scared that every test was performed, and he didn't come to me directly. He comes from a distant place from Hyderabad. So he came yesterday. He got me all the CT scan reports. He got me everything. This cough was not going. He is scared to death as such. He is thinking, this 70-year-old man is thinking he's infecting something to his other people as such. So the it was quite it was a thing here. And this guy was not sleeping because of this particular thing. The whole family was suffering. Everyone was in a kind of shock. For me, it took me some time to understand things. He had a pulmonary edema, which was not COVID related, things and all that. The moment we gave a intravenous, we tried working with our stuff thing. His stats came back normal. But this particular thing called fear, I I have to tell you two things which I tell in the college whenever I give some lectures and all that to the patients also. I tell two things which if you can't eat, if you don't eat that two things, you will not visit a doctor. So most of the people doesn't answer it properly. The one thing which I say is that fear, which is haibat. Urdu it is called haibat. Stress is in English, and fear. This is one thing which is a real tough thing. Yeah? Everyone going through any chronic disease, the moment he lands in a hospital, the moment he gets into a thing, absolutely. Most of the time, he's stressful, and he's. The second thing I tell them not to eat is pollution. I tell it's not that non-veg or something like that. I tell not to eat pollution, so that because you are eating pollution through food, air, and water, everything you are kind of.
Right, right.
Yeah, but this particular fear has to be catered by your family members. They should instill the confidence in the people, and the doctor is very responsible person here. If we can tell you, "Arey baba, मैं देख लेता हूँ, कुछ नहीं होगा," that word is a magic to him.
Yeah, yeah,
मैं
positive
हूं ना.
affirmations.
If a doctor tells you, "अरे मैं हूं ना," that's it. It is a big magic access. I'm very sure about that. But this is something else. There were some experiments which were done. I was listening to Dr. Sangeeta Pati, and she was talking about immune response. He gave a very beautiful slide. I hope I could have shown you that particular stuff. There was a squirrel, and fear decreases immune system. A frightened person, he has cortisol, everything goes up, and your immune system goes for a toss.
Huh.
So we need
Yes,
we need to do some lot of assurance and all that.
a lot of work on it. Yes, there is a
Yeah,
lot of non-physical reality that we are still not aware of, which
absolutely.
impacts our health. So, thank you so much for Dr. Saxena for your time. I really appreciate and deeply value. I look forward to meeting you in Delhi or my visit to Hyderabad. I
Obviously.
hope all these stupid travel restrictions are lifted and we're able to move back as earlier.
Yeah, I think this is we are seeing a good trend now in Hyderabad
Yes,
also.
yes,
The case are definitely dipping as it is in Delhi and other parts. in
Yeah,
India.
getting better.
I
Thank
think it's a few more weeks, and all that we had to wait and watch. Yeah, it was
thank you very much.
always great talking to you,
Great
Sanjay.
talking to you, sir. Thank you
My,
so much.
it's good that if whatever things I discuss, people can take home some of the stuff as
Yes,
well.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I have